There is a very specific corporate stereotype of the cybersecurity expert. He bursts into the boardroom, hair on fire, shouting that the hackers are at the gates and the network is about to collapse. Living in that state of constant alarm doesn't actually secure a business. It creates a toxic cycle where executives either make expensive decisions purely out of panic, or they wait until a breach happens and scramble to clean up the mess. But there is an equally dangerous threat on the other end of the spectrum: the administrative leader who treats digital security as an annoying afterthought. Picture a newly promoted HR manager, thrilled with the new title, but completely oblivious to digital risk. This gap in understanding runs so deep that you will find management completely misinterpreting the absolute basics. They'll see a mention of governance, risk, and compliance, GRC, and assume it's just the name of an external vendor. This is where the actual role of a Chief Information Security Officer comes in. A real CISO isn't there to amplify the fear. Their job is to walk into that executive room and turn the temperature down. They achieve that calm by forcing the business to let go of an impossible, anxiety-inducing idea. You cannot protect every single digital asset with the exact same level of armor. The disconnect between technical reality and executive comprehension creates a vulnerability more persistent than any individual hacker. CISOs use strategic triage to filter chaotic digital threats into actionable priorities. First, separate critical systems from expendable ones. Next, map surviving systems to real-world consequences: revenue flow, customer trust, and brand reputation. Finally, sort impacts by urgency: immediate intervention versus long-term operational plans. The fourth step is knowing exactly what to ignore. An expert security officer understands which vulnerabilities can be intentionally postponed without being reckless. Finally, there is executive translation. This dashboard represents how a CISO presents information. Instead of dumping technical problems, they deliver a clear risk matrix, presenting 3 distinct solution options alongside the exact financial impact of each choice. True digital security relies on this rigorous, rational sorting process. It's a system of management and awareness, not a defensive wall built of fear. We often hear the term cyber foresight, which sounds like a kind of technological fortune-telling. But there is no magic involved. Foresight is simply the act of establishing context, securing data clarity, and building preparedness well before a crisis ever touches the network. By locking in preparation early, the executive team isn't left scrambling in the dark when an inevitable incident finally happens. This solidifies the final chain of command. The CISO lays out the exact operational impacts of every triage option, but the ultimate decision of which path to take rests entirely with the business executives. The security team doesn't dictate how the business operates. They provide the intellectual clarity leadership needs to run confidently through a landscape of constant threats. Let's take this entire framework out of the standard corporate office and apply it to an environment where resources are scarce and technological alternatives are virtually non-existent: Yemen. In Yemen, constraints on budget and infrastructure force the triage framework into its most practical application. In a highly constrained environment like this, a completely compromised server is a direct hit to daily operations. It halts the flow of work and threatens the actual livelihoods of the civilian population. This visual scale illustrates the severe imbalance at play. You have a massive weight of external threats pressing down against a tiny fraction of available budget. The idea of protecting everything fails instantly here. Ruthless, step-by-step prioritization is the only mathematical way to survive. Other global regions might have the luxury of excessive, bloated spending to cover every possible weakness. But in Yemen, every single technical decision is permanently anchored to hard financial realities. Cybersecurity succeeds when it functions as a discipline of resource management, a constant process of weighing risks against the hard reality of what a business can actually afford to protect.